Today's review is Johnnie Walker Swing, blended Scotch whiskey with no age statement. This is most commonly available at the duty-free stores in airports around the world, especially the Caribbean, Middle East. And this particular bottle actually was picked up at a retail brick-and-mortar store in Florida, South Florida, I think Orlando, which is a bit unusual because, like I said, it's mostly in duty-free. Now, it's not common because it's only in duty-free. You don't see it in other stores. I always wanted to try this and read a lot about it. Actually, there aren't many reviews online for Johnnie Walker Swing, but I knew a couple guys who had written about it and wanted to try it for myself. So finally I got a bottle. Now there is a little story that goes with Johnnie Walker Swing. Interesting, if you look at the bottle, it goes like that. Story is, why does it do that? Apparently on a transatlantic cruise on a boat, John Walker, grandson of John Walker, Sir Alexander Walker, was on a cruise ship, and he noted that in the bar a lot of the bottles jostled back and forth and kind of tinkled as they hit each other as the boat itself rocked back and forth on the Atlantic. And so apparently he and his friends talked about it. He devised a bottle's base that wouldn't fall over. It had sea legs, like good sailors. Okay, let's try this. I got a little bit in there, but I'm going to put a little more in. First we'll talk about the color. No age statement. Color's not overly significant with this blend because you never know if they're adding in some caramel to darken it artificially, E150 food coloring basically. But the color of a malt, if it's a single malt and no caramel is added, it's just interesting. It's indicative of maybe some of the casks that it was aged in, the wood treatment or the wood management of the master distiller. Bourbon casks don't necessarily darken the spirit that much, whereas obviously sherry casks can. On the nose, Johnnie Walker Swing is, I smell honey, it's malty, and it's definitely, there's a sherry note. It's a nice little nose. No offensive alcohol or notes of, it's very nice. Kind of floral, violets. On the palate, I'm tasting honey. Wild honey smeared on dark toast. There's some spiciness mid-palate. And it's malty and definitely a sherry component. I have a couple of notes. It's creamy. There is a light smoke that comes out mid to late palate. And then the finish itself is shorter. Got some vanilla, caramel, and a bit of red fruit coming from that sherry cask influence. It's nice. Not incredible, but a pretty good blended Scotch. Nothing on the nose, on the palate, or on the finish is offensive. There's no strong alcoholic notes of any kind. There's no bite. This is smooth whiskey. If you are searching to buy a gift for your boss, granddad, dad, even your mom or grandma or girlfriend if you're so lucky, they'd be happy with this if they're not an overly serious whiskey nut or aficionado. This is a whiskey designed for the mainstream. It plays it safe. It doesn't take any risks. It's careful. And it would have undoubtedly mass appeal if it had wider distribution. I'm going to take another sip. It's good. The question is, how much do you want to pay for it? In the Caribbean, where friends of mine have picked this up, they're talking $40 to $50 US. Good value. I paid $60 in South Florida. I think I might, for a $60 price point, there's a lot of good single malts out there. There might be a few other blended scotches I'd prefer over this. But 40 to 50 bucks, it's worth it. Now, what does this taste like? If you're familiar with Dimple Pinch 15-year-old or Cardew, I think you would find this pleasurable. Matter of fact, I think there's a lot of Cardew as a core malt in Johnnie Walker Swing. And the other component malts making up this blend, I don't know. People speculate online. There's a nice signature Johnnie Walker smoke that I taste mid-palate and on the finish. Definitely a bit of Islay there, but not much. This is not what I would call a smoky dram. This is much more subtle than, say, Highland Park 12, which is a single malt. Some people might say it's not fair to make the comparison, but I'm just trying to put it into perspective for you. The other topic that I'd like to bring up is, where does Johnnie Walker Swing fall within the Johnnie Walker product line? I think I prefer Black Label to this. I really enjoy Black Label. It's got a bit of a cinnamon burnt toast with a nice Talisker smoke accent that I never tire of. I think I could tire of this after one bottle. Johnnie Walker Black is just like my go-to blend, and so I would prefer Black over this, to be honest. This is not as good as Green Label. It shares a lot of similarity with Green Label. This is far better than Gold Label, the recently relaunched Gold Label by Diageo that has no age statement. If you are lucky enough to find some Johnnie Walker Gold Label with the 18-year age statement, grab it. It's an excellent product and well worth the money. I think it can run you $70, $75 a bottle. I'd happily pay it for Johnnie Walker Gold Label 18-year-old. Now, the newly launched Gold Label by Diageo, I think about 2 years ago is when they launched it, has no age statement, and it's a gigantic disappointment. Don't get it. This is better than Gold Label. Now, the question, and then there is Green Label, which has been discontinued, which is a great favorite of mine. Green Label's made up of Craigenmore, Talisker, Linkwood, and a few other fantastic malts. Klein Alish, I think, is the other one. Green Label blows this out of the water. But Green Label is being discontinued. There's still a lot of it in distribution throughout the United States, and that's about it as far as I know. Grab that if you can, because I think Green Label is the best of the Johnnie Walker product line, including Blue Label. I would take Green Label over Blue Label every time. Comparing this to Blue Label, they're really very different blends. Blue Label has more of an Islay influence. It's more oily. It's different. And Blue Label I would prefer to this, but I mean Blue Label is like 3 times the price. So as a gift. Christmas, Hanukkah, somebody's birthday, corporate event. Makes a nice gift. You got the boss, you don't know what he likes, but you know he or she likes whiskey. Johnnie Walker Swing would be an original gift because it's not widely available, only generally available through duty free. Give it to he or her. I think they would enjoy it. It's a safe bet. For the person who is a serious single malt nut or an aficionado who you know likes a lot of single malts, I wouldn't get this. It's too pedestrian or mainstream for them. The real single malt fan is looking for more vibrant character. Here you're getting a lot of honey, a lot of Cheerios, morning cereal, a bit of brown sugar and caramel. This is a space cider through and through. There's a bit of smoke in here, but this is a Speyside, heavily influenced blend. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Definitely a ton of Cardew making up this core malt. I don't know what else is making up this blend, but Cardew is there. And in conclusion, I do like that nose. Cheers. Until next time.